Hey guys, welcome to our fifth podcast. You're again with Alex and Vadim. We would always appreciate and still appreciate if you guys would subscribe and like. It'd be really great. Also, this podcast is brought to you by quickyprint.com, where you can have all your printing needs met. So Vadim, what is our first topic of the day?
The first topic of today are the terrorist attacks that occurred in Paris. When I first heard about the attacks, I saw them on yahoo.com, and I was really shocked as to it happening in Paris. I actually thought it was going to happen in Germany, and it was really, really shocking to me.
Wait. First, why Germany?
Well, I thought that, because of all the immigration or immigrants that, were entering in Germany, I thought that, something like that would happen there before anywhere else.
But Germany wasn't the only place that was accepting them.
No, the Germany absolutely wasn't the only place that was accepting them, but it was really the one country that was, in the headlines. You know what I mean? It was the biggest country in the headlines.
So basically the most advertised one, that's the one they thought.
The most advertised one, and they were accepting the most as far as per media. So, I thought that, if something would happen as far as a terrorist attack, I thought that it was going to happen in Germany. Well, I guess, I was wrong. But, either way, it's just a terrible tragedy. I think over 150 people were killed. And I've seen videos on it where they showed the back street of people coming out of, I think, the movie theater or theater. I'm not too sure, but this guy captured it from his apartment, and I saw this pregnant woman. She was off a ledge, and I saw people limping and running away, and it was just total chaos. And this is from a back street. Where this guy was filming. But where were you when this happened?
I was also at home, but it really took me off guard because at first when I heard it, I didn't know, or I didn't even think that it was a terrorist attack for a minute. And then when I actually started reading about it, it definitely made sense, or it was pointing to that it was a terrorist attack, and it's really unfortunate that it happened, and I'm really curious as to what this is going to do to all the other nations, including the United States. How is this going to affect them taking all these migrants in? Will it stop it? I mean, in France, they stopped it 100%, but in other countries, I haven't heard them say anything about it yet. So I'm curious as to what this is going to do now. It's something that seems like it's going to only happen more and more often. Do you think that we're going to see more of these incidents in other countries, maybe even US, or do you think that this is something that was a one-time thing that's specifically from these migrants? I'm not talking about anyone else coming from somewhere else, but I'm talking about specifically from the migrants that are coming into Europe and into US. Do you think that this is something that we're going to see more of, or do you think this is something that was just like a one-off?
I don't think this is a one-off thing. I think that it's going to continue happening. I've been watching on YouTube videos where Muslims, whether they're the first generation Muslim Germans, and how they treat their classmates that are non-Muslim. They beat them up, they push them, they yell at them, they don't want to assimilate with them, and that's just one example. But the thing here is that supposedly some of these migrants are coming from ISIS. And the problem is we don't know.
That's what ISIS actually said.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said.
Yeah, but we don't know. Yes, you're right.
We don't know who is ISIS member, who isn't ISIS member, who is Syrian, who isn't Syrian. I don't think these countries, Germany and England, France,
right,
they're actually checking to see who they are. letting them in. Well, what if you don't have a passport?
Hold on. I'm not sure we actually know what they're actually doing, what kind of checks, what kind of follow-ups they're doing. Like, we don't know. So I mean, that's really speculation to say that they're not doing anything. They're just going, hey, borders open, go wherever you want. I don't think it's that, but neither of us really know what kind of checks they're doing and what kind of follow-ups they're doing to make sure, okay, you guys are here. Are they putting, maybe even, who knows, they might be even putting in, some chips in to make sure they could track them. Who knows?
I really don't think so. But the problem here is that, you're letting in a group of people that are Muslims. I mean, I don't even understand this, because ISIS was targeting Christians and killing them because they were Christians, and the U.S. hasn't really, or any other European country hasn't really, had an uproar against that, and I don't see any migrants, as far as I know, that are specific Christian families that are being brought over. It just seems like it's just a Muslim population.
How do you figure them? Because I'm not really sure. Like, I haven't heard anything.
What I heard from the news is that these are Muslim migrants. There are some Christians as well, but most of them are Muslims. So I don't even understand this at all.
But you're saying at one point they don't know where these people are coming from, whether Syria or not, but you're saying they know that they're all Muslim?
Hey, I agree with what you're saying. That's what they're saying.
Seem like...
Well, yet again, I don't know myself, obviously. I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. But according to news agencies, they're saying that most of the migrants that are coming over to Europe and right now to the U.S., the first plane, I think, just flew into New Orleans a couple of days ago. 1,000, I believe, migrants. But what they're saying is that. So, but the question is, why aren't the Christians, or why weren't the Christians being helped? The Muslims, you know what I mean? So I don't know. There's a huge issue here. But
I don't know if they're like picking out. I mean, are you basically saying, like, why aren't they walking around and going, like, are you Christian? Oh, okay, you're Christian, come with us. Oh, you're Muslim? No, stay in line, wait for your turn. Like, are you really saying something like that? Or are you... I'm not exactly sure what you mean by why are they helping him out? Like, did you want him to divide them in groups or something?
In a sense, divide them between Muslims and Christians. You know what I mean? It's not... it's not that hard to do. But what I'm trying to get at...
Yes, it is.
What I'm trying to get at
Yes, it is. If they see that you're doing something like this, don't you think all of them will go, yeah, I'm Christian?
I'm trying to get the fact out that the problem here is that not necessarily these migrants are bad as individuals. Saudi Arabia or any other Middle Eastern country, they don't want to take them in. So the question is, if they don't want to take them in, why should the U.S. and Europe take in their people? They're Arabs. So why are we taking on non-educated Arabs who are only concerned about Islam and people not burning their Quran? Because if you burn the Quran, they'll chop your head off. I mean, why are we even trying to accommodate these people in the first place when they don't even respect Western culture? They don't want to assimilate at all. And it's funny, they say that, okay, well, I want to return back to my homeland, but yeah, okay, if they're given welfare, they're given a place to live and food on their table, they're not going to want to go back. What do you think?
Well, I do agree to the last part you said. Of course, if you live here, you most likely wouldn't want to go back. But at the same time, I do believe that it's very easy to make a whole group look really, really bad. You just need, literally, you could take 1,000 people, and if one person in this group, does something horrific or bad, then all of the 1,000 people are going to look that way just because he is basically one of them. So are most of the people that are coming, the migrants, most of them are most likely decent people, most of them. But the problem is that we don't know what percentage or how many or which ones aren't good. and we're taking them in, and how many of them are ISIS members, we don't really know. We don't really know what the governments are doing to keep an eye on these people. Are they doing anything, or are they doing a lot, and we just, they just don't want to share with us, because then you'll get everybody going, oh my god, that's wrong, you can't do that. So I don't exactly know what they're doing, but I'm sort of with you on the idea that why aren't other countries, especially in the Middle East, taking them in? I agree with that. But at the same time, if for Europe especially, for the United States, I'm not exactly sure, but for Europe especially, I don't know, like, they have a hard thing to deal with, because most of these migrants, they're not being shipped by European countries to Europe. They're basically sort of walking the steps and going, hey, we're here, can you help us out? This is something that is very difficult for them to deal with, and I it's like, I think it's very easy to say to turn them away, and in some ways you do want to, especially after an incident that happened in Paris. You're looking at it and going like, this is just crazy to allow this to happen, and to go like, oh yeah, let's bring more in. France right away closed it out, because absolutely that's something that happened. Are other countries at this point waiting for the same thing to happen to them? Like, meaning, is Germany going to do the same thing if something happens there? Is US going to do something if it happens here? It's like, are they going to, like, what are the steps that the countries are going to take now that this happened in Paris?
Well, the other issue here is that the people have not voted for whether to accept migrants or not. I mean, the government is making the decision for the people. And in a democracy or in a republic, which we used to live in, in my opinion, that's not acceptable. The people have to vote on a referendum, or vote for whether we want to accept immigrants who are technically illegal, that taxpayers are going to be contributing their money towards. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so ridiculous.
I have no argument with you on that. There's no like, this is something that should be addressed by the people, in terms of there needs to be a special election, and people need to be able to vote on this. Whether I can't speak for outside the United States. However their government wants to do it, it's up to them. But here in the United States, we definitely should be able to vote on something like this, because New Orleans didn't get a vote to see if migrants could be sent there. No state is really getting that. It just seems like who's fighting the most not to get them is basically, because I think they were just trying to, I don't remember, it was Tennessee or Kansas. I don't remember, but there was a state that just turned them away, and that's why they were sent to New Orleans. And it just seems like it's the state that fights the most that doesn't get them, and the state that fights the least, like, oh well, all right, we'll send them there. So
exactly. Well,
I completely agree with you there. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Well, the problem is most of the people don't want them here in the first place. The reason is simple. They're illegal. 2, they're uneducated. 3, they're Islamic. We don't want Islam, in my opinion, in America. And all these progressive liberals who are homosexual, who are women, who don't realize what is really going on here. These people have never known freedom. They don't want freedom. And they'll use any opportunity to utilize Sharia law, whether it's legal or not legal. If they see a woman that's wearing a skirt, I guarantee you they're going to come up to her and start harassing her. Or if they don't like someone kissing in public, or if they see a homosexual in public, guess what they're going to do? I mean, you really have to understand the culture that these people come from. These are not radicals, but if you really understand what Islam is, they're very oppressive towards cultures that are not Islamic. So, I mean, people have to realize what's going to happen is your stupid progressive liberalism is going to give these Islamists privilege to do what they like, and they're going to want to take away your freedom while you're fighting for their freedom to take away your freedom. And it's just so backwards. You have to realize the fact that these people, they're not radicals, but they're accustomed to a culture, to a status quo where women are second-class citizens, where homosexuals should be beheaded, where adultery should be stoned. So you have to realize what you're letting in. You know what I mean?
You're making it so difficult to agree with you because you sometimes take stances that are so one-sided that I have a hard time kind of like, even if there's parts that I agree with you on, I have a hard, like, it's like, because it's too far one-sided. And while yes, I agree with you on the liberal side that they are, but it's not only that. There's a lot of Christians that feel the same way about it, where they're like, hey, you know what, I see kids there, I see parents there, I see, it's like I see families there, how can we not help them? So it is a Christian thing to do to help them, and not to only look at the religion they come from. But also, I mean, if you feel the way that you're saying, what about the Muslims that we have here? Should they be thrown out with the Muslims that you don't want to take? Should we just, take all these guys and people?
Well, I mean, if it was really up to me, then it's either the Quran or get the fuck out of here.
So basically, Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these guys to try to kick him out.
Well, no. I'm not talking about.
Even Mike Tyson, I think, for a minute was.
That's true. I wouldn't touch the black Muslims. I think, black Muslims are really confused about what Islam is, and I really don't think that they understand that Islam is far beyond what they're preaching. So no, I'm not talking about the black Muslims that actually think that they understand the doctrine. I think that probably it's been rewritten, but it doesn't make you right in either case. Yet again, I don't like religion in the first place. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. But the danger here is when you allow for these people to come into your community. It's like allowing a virus to spread. And you don't want for a virus to spread. You want to contain it, and you want to kill it. So wait. You're saying to send them back to wherever they came from and then kill them? No. I'm not saying to kill them. I'm saying to give them ultimatum. Do you want the Quran, or do you want freedom? You want the Quran? Okay, go back to Middle East.
So you just said, but you said
no. I mean, kill the virus, as in to get rid of it. You know what I mean? To isolate it and to get rid of it. That's really. I don't mean to kill. But I don't know. But if you're saying they're the virus and you want to kill the virus, then you kill them. No, it's just a metaphor. I don't want to kill innocent people. But what I'm trying to say is the Quran is very dangerous. The more educated you are,
I agree with you
in the Quran, the more versed you are with the infidel, and you can kill the infidel. You can discriminate against the infidel. You can do terrible things to the infidel because that's what Muhammad did. That's just a fact.
There was somebody. I don't want to take credit for it, but there was somebody. I don't remember if it was a comedian or not. So, but whoever it was, and basically they made a connection, and they're like, when Muslims are in a community where they're the minority, they're relatively quiet, and it's usually very they're basically sort of in their own area. Once they get to a bigger majority, or I don't want to say majority, but once they become maybe around 30% or 40%, that's when you start hearing murmurs, and in terms of like how they don't like things, how things maybe should be changed. And as soon as they become close to either 50% or a majority, that's when that's when physical violence that starts to take place. And it just seems like it's across the board in every single country that we've ever seen this. That's always been the case. As soon as Muslims become a majority, it seems like that's what happens. They want to turn people the way they want them, and this is basically across the board just because of their beliefs. And the thing is, if you ask most Muslims in terms of what they believe, as in terms of beating their wife for doing certain things, killing somebody and stuff like that, for maybe talking about Muhammad or doing something. Well, talking about Muhammad in a negative way, by the way, not just talking about him, but talking about him in a negative way. Most Muslims who are, even, you could say right now, are moderate, who are, kind of like low key, would still go, yeah, well, in these cases, I could see why it would be okay to stone her, or it would be okay to beat her, or it would be okay to kill him. And those are the moderate Muslims, because that's basically what the Quran says. And if you believe it, then that's basically what you have to do. So I agree in terms of that. If we start letting in all these Muslims and they start taking over communities, there will be problems. If for example, in New Orleans, I don't really see it being a problem, but in other areas, once you start giving them land and you start putting them aside, that's when you're going to start seeing growth, and they have babies pretty crazily. So they're going to grow very fast, and it's not going to be good for those communities. It's not going to be good for, I
have a suggestion. Send them to Texas.
Why Texas?
Well,
No.
a lot of white rednecks with shotguns.
Well, you could also send them to Compton.
I don't know. They may convert the black people to Islamists.
I think they might have a hard time with that one.
I don't know, but I think the solution here is to send them to Texas and let Texas take care of them. But it's just such a messed up situation, in my opinion, with terrorism. Yet again, not necessarily the terrorist acts that happened in Paris occurred because of the migration that has happened to Paris. We don't really know who actually committed those crimes. But still, the fact is
But the thing is, I mean, it's pretty easy to say that probably was the case. I mean, you're absolutely right. We don't have like pure evidence right now. You're an argument for me, but if you just take a look at the basics, it's like, okay, so they started letting in a lot of migrants, and when that happened, this happened. It's like, yeah, you could close your eyes and go, well, it could have been anybody, but it probably wasn't. Do you know what I mean? So,
and the other problem is that in France, most people don't have guns, and they can't really protect themselves against an attack like that. If this happened in Texas, I guarantee you that maybe 10 people, maybe 20 people would have died, but I guarantee you they probably would have taken out the shooters. And this whole notion that we should have really strict gun laws against people.
But didn't some of them actually even have, didn't they, have a bomb vest and stuff like that?
Yeah, supposedly.
So, I mean, I don't think you could do too much with a gun when it comes to that. If they're gonna blow up a building you're in.
True. That's true. Some people did have bomb vests.
Wasn't it like 5 or 6?
I don't know how many people have that bomb vests on, but you're absolutely right. I mean, you can't really defend against that. But there were assailants that had machine guns, and they were mowing down people.
You're absolutely right, but you're absolutely right. But the thing is, if you're a terrorist and your basic idea is to terrorize, in a sense, in terms of like, how can we commit the most terror with limited amount of whatever they have. So yes, so for example, if they were in Texas, you're probably right. They probably wouldn't necessarily go with guns blazing and try to go, hey, we're gonna shoot you all, because they're like, yeah, there's a chance that more Texans do have guns on them. Not in metropolitan areas, but more in the rural areas. But they would just adapt and go like, okay, we need to have more bombs and less firearms, basically, because that's something that we're gonna need to do. So I don't know if that idea is that if if they have guns, then all of a sudden you're gonna be protected. I really don't think that would be the case. They would just use a different technique to accomplish their goal.
But still, ask me whether I would be more safe with carrying the gun or not carrying the gun. I'll give you a simple
In that
answer.
scenario, you would not be.
In any scenario. Well,
of course not.
It doesn't matter in what scenario it is.
You're saying there's no scenario that you would not be safer with.
What I'm saying is I would be safer in either way carrying the gun than not carrying the gun. That's obvious. But what I'm trying to get at is this.
No, you wouldn't. You just made a statement like we're supposed to accept it. Like, yeah, no, you wouldn't. If somebody has a vest on, they're gonna blow themselves up. Doesn't matter if you have a gun. You don't know what what are you gonna look at everybody and see what are they doing? No, he comes up next to you, presses a button, explodes. Doesn't matter if you have a gun or not.
I understand that. I'm saying, but still, I would rather have a gun in general.
You said no.
Speaking,
you said you'd be safer either way, and you wouldn't.
But what if it fails? Okay, what if the bomb fails? And
then you'll just walk away.
No, just shoot the motherfucker.
What is he? He doesn't have to yell anything. He just come up to you.
They usually yell.
Okay, but he didn't yell. Well,
if he didn't
you're making
yell,
up a scenario to prove your point. But I'm saying you said in any scenario you would still be safer, and I'm saying no, you wouldn't. If he just came up to you, boom, pressed a button, and boom, explodes, you would not be safer. A gun wouldn't help you.
Well, the whole issue here is that terrorists are on the loose. We know that for a fact, and it's just so crazy how these European countries and the United States, the excuse is that the fact that we're not at war with Islam, ISIS is contained. That's what Obama said, and we should all feel safe. Let's let them in. Let's let these guys in. It doesn't matter who they are. It seems like I don't know what the vetting process is. Nobody knows. It seems like let's just let them in. Why not? Let the taxpayers pay for it. They're not voting for it. Let them pay for it.
You are taking everything out of context and to make your own point. I see what you're doing, but we already established that we don't know what kind of vetting process they go through. We don't know what they do to them, how they track them. We don't know any of those things. But you're making it out, like they're just like, hey, come in. You want to go over there? Go over there. And enjoy yourself.
But the simple
you want guns? You want welfare? You want this? Right. You go for it.
But the simple question is, who's paying for it?
Again, I agreed with you. No. See, it's not the simple question because you made a bunch of other statements.
Right.
I agreed with you in the first statement that I said that yes, people in the United States should be able to vote on whether they accept them or not. You're absolutely right on that.
Okay.
But I'm saying the rest of the stuff you just kind of made, points like, oh yeah, this is what they're doing, this is how they're doing it. Even we don't know, but this is how they're doing it, and that's not true either.
And no one is disclosing to us what they're doing, what they're not doing. You know what I mean? It's funny. We do live in a democracy, no doubt, but it's a democracy where the few rule the majority. Yeah, I mean, you have Congress. And you have the White House, and they're pretty much even the Congress is not making the decision as far as what I can see. It's just the White House. But they're also not fighting against it either. Okay, exactly.
It's like I don't know what the yes, you could hear one person say something here, say something there, but overall I haven't heard as a consensus, this is what we want to do. This is what we don't want to do.
Absolutely true. And, you're right. Congress is not fighting it. The White House, is bringing them in. ISIS is contained. And, everything is all good. These are good people we're bringing in. We don't know if these are good people. You're not giving us the data. You're not telling us who these people are.
Would we even trust the data, though?
And that's another good point. That's a good point what you're saying. Will we trust the data? I don't think we can trust the government, in my opinion at least, in general.
Of course you don't believe that. Yes.
No, I don't believe in trusting the government, especially look what they're doing. And it's funny, they see the attacks on Paris, and let's just bring them in. Let's just continue bringing them in. We're gonna, you guys are gonna pay for it. Of course, we're not gonna pay for it. Talking about the White House or Congress, they don't pay taxes, but it's going to be the middle class that's going to pay for these immigrants, and let's just do that. Let's wait until a terrorist plot
It's not.
unfolds in the United States. And it's funny.
It's not really. But no. But the thing is, it's not really about like you keep on talking about the money and all that kind of stuff. I really don't think it's the money issue because I heard all the crazy numbers that especially Republicans have been throwing around that they're actually bringing in this year like hundreds of thousands of migrants and all that kind of stuff. Those are completely made up numbers that no one at all could even show examples of where they even got them. Those numbers are made up. But the money that we're gonna spend on having them here is relatively minuscule. That's not really the problem, though. It really isn't that. Oh, how are we gonna cover them? The problem is that if the people in the United States don't want them here, that's what it is. It's really is that. It's like you're bringing in people that Americans might not feel safe with, and if they don't, they should be able to vote on that. No one person should be able to decide this. Like, well, I'm gonna bring him here, and too bad for you. That's the biggest problem that I see, at least right now.
Pretty much, you're absolutely right. It's the decision of the White House. It's a humanitarian crisis. You are creating a humanitarian crisis by constantly bombing Syria. You're the problem. We are not the problem. No one asked us whether the United States or Europe should be bombing Syria in the first place. So how dare you put these migrants on our heads and say that we must help them? No, you helped them. You created the problem. You fucking helped them. You have them move into your fucking house and feed them with your own money. Don't fucking put this on the general public. We didn't do shit. We don't want these fucking wars. We want them to stop, and it's not our fault. It's your fault, and we have no say at all. It's ridiculous.
And that's the fucking point. All right. Okay. So I think we both kind of expressed our feelings about it. So let's move on to our next topic.
Our next topic is Charlie Sheen coming out on Good Morning.
That's a U-turn on the topic. All right. Okay.
Coming out and saying that he has HIV. It's funny. Last week, there was an article of an A-list celebrity that's going to come out and say that he has HIV. And I told Alex, I bet you it's Charlie Sheen. And I was being serious, and at the same time, I was being sarcastic, I guess, because everybody knows his reputation as a bad boy, and
right.
Having tiger blood and all that crap. So when I heard it, I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised because of his wild days, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. What did you think of it when you first heard it?
I am wondering why he came out. That was my first instinct. It wasn't again a surprise. I didn't really think like, oh well, I mean, he's been sleeping around, he's been having sex with multiple women on a regular basis. So the fact that he came out with it isn't a surprise. But my question is, why did he come out in the first place? It's not. This isn't like, I'm coming out as like gay, now I could live comfortably or something. He just he just decided to come. Like, I mean, this is something that's personal. This is something that like, you tell the person you're gonna sleep with, hey, I just want to let you know, don't make it a big deal or whatever. But basically, like, this is a private thing. You usually don't have to do that. So I don't understand or I'm not sure if somebody maybe had something on him. I'm not really even sure what it could be, like a test of some kind, or maybe a recording of him maybe saying that he has it. And he just wanted to get ahead of it, because I just don't understand why he would. I'm curious. Like, the second thought was, how many women will come out now and say, not say, but how many women will sue him now? Because I think he's had HIV for 4 years or something like that.
I mean, that's what he claims, that he found out 4
right.
years
So
ago.
I mean, I'm sure he slept with quite a few women in the last 4 years, and I'm just curious as to how many of them are going to sue and go like, hey, he never told me. This is not something that he shared with me, and I wouldn't have slept with him if I knew. even if they didn't get AIDS, or excuse me, even if they didn't get HIV, they still could have sued him.
Man, this is really crazy because, well, I agree with you. I'm trying to understand. Well, why did he come out now? What's the reason for coming out at this particular time and saying that, guys, listen, I have HIV and I have changed my ways and it's no longer detected via blood test. And I'm doing fine, and I'm recovering, and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. No one really pressed him, I think, on trying to find out. Well, Charlie, why are you doing this right now? Well, what's the purpose of this? You know what I mean? I mean, he kind of said it, but to me, it's still a mystery.
Wait, he did give a purpose as to why?
Well, just to pretty much, I'm saying a general purpose.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like I just want to
not anything specific as
right.
to someone contracted it from me, or someone is suing me because of this or that, and it's going to come out anyway. And do you think it's so weird?
Do you think that his case right now is going to, reopen all the conversations again when Magic Johnson first came out with it and said that he had it, and that at that point, it was already like hidden. But I remember it opened up the conversation as to how you could get it and how big of a problem it is in the United States. Do you think that this is going to do the same thing, or do you think that people are somewhat over it, that it's just going to sort of go away?
I think it's going to be the topic of discussion for maybe a month, and more articles are going to be coming out and describing how you can get it, how you can prevent it, that you should go get tested just to make sure that you don't have it or don't have any other type of STD. So I think the discussion is going to be around for a month or so. I don't think it's going to
so it's not really going to be a big thing.
Well, it depends. Saying. Maybe more celebrities are going to come out and say, "Listen, I also have HIV."
You think he's going to start a trend?
I think
HIV celebrities coming out.
I think so. It could.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, potentially, since he came
because
out,
since Magic Johnson came out, I think he's really the only one that really has come out. I mean. There are other celebrities that came out with AIDS, but in terms of HIV and stuff like that, I haven't heard of anyone who came out with HIV.
No, there has been this guy who character on Who's the Boss, who just recently came out and said that he has HIV. I don't remember his name.
Yeah. I'm talking about celebrities, not past little known celebrities.
Okay, I don't know. You're talking about big names. You're right. As
far as I'm like the guy who played on Who's the Boss in a 90s, early 90s, or
but
late
I think
show?
that Charlie Sheen is making it a little more acceptable to come out and say, "Listen, guys, I have HIV. I've contracted it, but it's no longer detectable in my blood. So technically, I don't have it. I can't really pass it on to my other partners."
Did he say that?
Well,
or is that the idea? Because I haven't heard that if you have it, even if it's almost undetectable, I didn't hear anything about that. It cannot be passed.
No, it can be, but it's very rare. They did a study where I think they took like 1,000 couples, and I think that it's 97% proof if you continue to take your medication. So it's almost impossible. Let's just put it that way. Or it's the probability.
And this is a legit study. This is
legit. This is a legitimate study. Where they're saying that 3% chance if you're taking your medication on a daily basis that you can pass on HIV to your partner, but they're still saying you have to wear, you should wear condoms. You shouldn't.
Okay, what are the chances? Do you think now women will like in Charlie Sheen's case? What are the chances of women going with him?
Going out with him and having sex. Yes. I mean, to tell you the truth, I would think that it would be remote, but the fact that he has money, the fact that he can prove that it's 97% free,
So you think the 3% women go, screw it?
Well, no. Well, it's 3%. I think if you actually have unprotected sex, but if you have protected sex, it's even less than that. But
really, so unprotected sex is 3%.
Oh, I think so. I think.
Give us how did they did that? How they did that study?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Let's play the roulette here.
Right. To tell you the truth, I wouldn't do it if I knew that somebody had HIV. I think.
So you wouldn't do it with Charlie Sheen?
No, I wouldn't do it with Charlie Sheen. Well, you would do it with Charlie Sheen?
Hey, if there's enough money and you're saying 3% chance, hey.
Okay, no. Okay, I'm all right. Well, I'm not gay anyway, but legit.
Right.
Yes, that's right. But but no, I mean, when if your partner or that I have HIV, I don't think there's still a risk there that I can get it, and even though we are so close to a cure, and I've read articles that any day now we are going to have a cure, and I believe that we will have a cure very soon. At the moment, you just want, because any deterrent in your health can affect you to a point where your immune system can be weakened, and you don't know what you're going to occur. You know what I mean? You just really don't know. To take that chance and say that, okay, well, it's a 3% chance if he takes his medication. But what if he decides to not take his medication or whatever? So
you're saying no to Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, you're on your own. But in other matters, him having HIV, he said that he's done being the bad boy. You know what? I don't know if I hope that that's the case, that he finally realizes that there's more to having sex, that he does have a lot of free time, and he wants to be a philanthropist. I think that focusing on something good finally to the broader community is something very positive. And to tell you the truth, he's trying to make that change, or not himself, but hopefully for other people to also come out and say whether they have HIV or not. The people that have time and money help other people. You know what I mean? I think that's what people who are secure should be doing in the first place. But hopefully other celebrities will come out who have HIV and actually disclose that, and be open about it to their partners, if not in public. Because it's funny that Charlie Sheen said in the interview he said that he told his partners that he does have HIV and he used condoms. I think he only said that he did not use. But his prior girlfriends came out and said that's not true. He never told us that he had HIV.
Right.
So I mean, who do you believe? I mean, Charlie Sheen's reputation has been tarnished for a while now. I can't necessarily believe him. So
I don't know necessarily which way to go on this, whether to believe him or not, just because if you're a woman that slept with him and you want to make a lot of money very quickly, say that he never told me, sue him, and try to get as much money out of him as you can. So there's that. But in terms of, I don't know necessarily if he's gonna really do anything to change the culture right now that's sort of around HIV. I don't think that's gonna really change. I think that people already are kind of like wary of other people in terms of sex. I don't think like Tinder and what's the other one? There's Tinder and there's another one that's like a hookup app. Whatever it was called. I don't think that they're going to be affected by this at all. I think people are still like, playing the odds, and they're like, hey, this, this won't affect me. From my perspective, yeah, if a girl told me that she has it, and she's like, yeah, I'm 97% safe, or whatever the percentage is, I don't think I would take that. I don't think I would not take that chance. Just doesn't seem worth it to me. It just, it's like, yeah. So
and it's nothing, and it's nothing against her, and people should definitely be honest with other people, because you don't want to be the cause of the other person's health detriment. You don't want to be the catalyst in that respect, unless
I honestly do think that most people, I think you have to be unlucky to really find people who really would lie to you. I think most people, they use, like, they have sex with, most people, if they have something, they will usually tell you. If they have something, especially that could hurt you and stuff like that, I think most people are honest enough about that, because I mean, you're most likely not the first person they're going to sleep with, after getting whatever it is they got. So as long as they know themselves, then yes. But of course, you're also running into possibility of them not knowing that they have anything. But that's a completely separate conversation, as it is. But
it is a separate conversation. But I have to say that articles are coming out and saying that before you have unprotected sex, that you should definitely check yourself and your partner. And I think that's the right thing to do.
It is, but it really is not something that's going to be. It's not something that's really going to happen, basically. I mean, yes, will there be some people that do it? Yes. But majority of people, absolutely not. Majority of people are still playing the odds. They're like, yeah, but what are the chances of me getting it? I use protection. Oh, I do this. Oh, I make sure I do that. So it's like, I really do think that isn't really going to change. I think until somebody comes up with like a foolproof condom protection based thing, lube, whatever it is that protects you, I think people are going to continue having sex the same way. I think the biggest scare, at least that I remember, was really AIDS. I remember it really made people consider like, oh, I really shouldn't have unprotected sex. I really shouldn't, I should be picky. But right now with all these apps like Tinder and the rest or whatever, they're the ones that are sort of bringing it back not bringing AIDS back, but they're bringing back the 70s style in terms of like, hey, just hook up, peace, love, and sex, type of thing.
And I don't think either one of us has anything against sex. I think both of us agree that people should have sex, but the problem isn't sex. The problem is the diseases that come along with it. If everyone was clean, then we wouldn't even be talking about this. Sex is
yes, there would be enjoyable. A lot. If every woman was clean and we knew this, there would be even more sex today. 100%. There would be more people having sex.
Well, just because, let's say, all the women were clean, maybe the guys are not. So then,
yeah. But I'm saying, if we knew 100%, for example, there was this thing, this magical condom that I'm talking about. If there was this thing that you could put on, whether she puts it on, whether you put it on, however it is, and it protects you 100%, there will, without a doubt, be more sex happening.
Absolutely,
without a doubt, there'll be. I see us going into this way of like sex not being this taboo thing. Even if you think about it, from like the 1990s to now, which isn't really a long time, how much it's changed. Where before, if you were a virgin in your 20s, it wasn't really like a crazy thing. People have heard of that. Now it's like, if you're in your 20s and you're a virgin, you're most likely on one of those shows where they're like, let us introduce you to this wild beast. His name is Josh, and he decided to wait. And right next to him, there's another girl, and she's like wants to wait. For some reason, now it's become this. Well, not for some reason, but it's become this thing where sex is much more open. And if you don't have sex, people are looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Are you like really, really religious, or are you scared of sex? Well, what happened to you? Were you dropped as a kid? And I think it's only moving further and further like into that direction, where I do believe that sex in maybe in the next 50 years or so, this is just my crazy prediction, but I think in the next 50 years, sex is going to be like this thing where, hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. We just met. Do you want to have sex? Sure. It would be like a very casual thing. People would not be like asking each other, so how many people have you been with? Like, it would be like I don't know. I lost track after 154th person I was with. I just stopped counting. Or maybe your watch will tell you this is your 854th person you slept with.
Okay, well, guys, listen. The bad news is the fact that you can contract all these different types of
why
STDs.
Guys? You're saying only guys?
Guys and girls. When
Okay.
I say guys, I meant guys and girls into that. But the bad news is you can contract all these nasty diseases. The good news is there's either a cure for them or there's a treatment for them. So in the coming 5 to 10 years, guys, listen, if you have HIV or if you have herpes, I'm telling you this, there's going to be a cure for it, and maybe there'll be new diseases. I hope not. But listen, the future is bright. And,
wow. Okay, by the way, you guys maybe not know him just yet. This is only the 5th podcast. But this is a guy who's like doom, gloom, and death, basically. So him saying this right now is like, you should go outside and see if there's like pigs flying. There's like a great golden rainbow or something, because this is not like him. I promise you, this is not like this is. I think this is probably the first and last time you'll ever hear him looking at anything in a positive light. So if you're like, I'm happy this is actually being recorded right now, because I think I could play it back.
Yeah, I've never said anything positive before in my life.
For the future?
Come on.
For the future? I don't know.
Okay. Well, in a sense, in my opinion, 5 to 10 years, we'll be rid of all these STDs. Of course, new ones, may come up, but the older ones will be cured, and probably we'll have a device where we can instantly check one STD. So in either case, we should be done with all these STDs, and just have a nice life and not have to worry about your partner. So
right. I agree. Do you think that getting back to specifically Charlie Sheen, do you think that this will affect him now in terms of getting a date? Or I'm sorry, not getting a date. No, that's not what I meant to say. Will this affect him in terms of finding jobs?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No. I think it's going to be easier for him to get back into the mix.
Really?
Of course. I mean, the excuse here is that the reason why he was acting out, and he had all those drunken moments, and he yelled at his boss, and so now he can apologize to him and tell him
it was the AIDS talking.
Well,
I mean,
he was extremely depressed. He was suicide mission, and he just couldn't control himself at the time. And people do understand if there's a reason as to why someone is acting out.
So do you think that was it Lori or
Chuck Lorre?
Yeah, Chuck Lorre. Yeah, do you think he's going to potentially forgive him and maybe cast him in another show?
Oh yeah, if Charlie Sheen has an idea, or if Chuck Lorre has an idea for a show where he can embed Charlie Sheen into, I think that definitely that will happen. I mean, 2.5 Men was really, really successful, and Charlie Sheen was making $2 million per episode. That's almost unheard of right now. $2 million. I don't know anyone, and that's just me, I don't know anyone who's making $2 million an episode.
It's ridiculous. I don't know if there's a show that's paying that, because I mean the closest thing would be The Big Bang Theory, but I think they're making under 2. I think they're making $1 million something maybe each.
But different actors are making different amounts.
Bro, I'm talking about the top 3.
Yeah, I don't think they are.
3.
I don't think they are making close to 2. But no, I think his future is bright. He has a lot of money. And I can guarantee you, like with Pamela Anderson coming out, that she's hepatitis C negative. She no longer has hepatitis C.
I'm happy for her.
And I'm happy for anyone that doesn't have a disease that can potentially kill them, unless they're terrorists.
Oh, so you want them
well,
like?
if you're
What?
if you're a terrorist,
That's the
no.
fight that we should do. Like, send them herpes or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
herpes won't do them.
No, but it's just still uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
All the chafing and everything.
Yeah, but they'll blow themselves up. And
Yeah, but it'd be uncomfortable to put on the vest and all that kind of stuff.
No, I don't
and they
think
probably
so.
won't do the underwear bombing
I kind of
anymore.
doubt that. I think them being sexually deprived and educationally deprived.
All right, so you want to give them something more lethal?
I want to give them something very lethal. But anyway, aside from that, my prediction here is that potentially in the coming weeks or days, there will be more celebrities coming out with HIV positive diagnosis. But in all honesty,
Really, you think
yes.
more? Not a celebrity, but celebrities
Just
in the coming weeks.
that's just my prediction. But
Okay.
I think there's nothing to fear anymore as far as HIV goes. It seems like because it appears that within maybe 2, 3, maybe 5 years, there will be a cure. So people who do have it, in my opinion, shouldn't be worried about it. So Charlie Sheen is definitely.
Guys, Vadim, he was close to a doctor once. He talked to him. So if he tells you that in the next 5 years your problems will be solved, you can trust him. He knows.
Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. But you know what? Since we're ending on a positive note, we're gonna move on to something more exciting.
Okay.
And let's talk about Mcgregor and Jose Aldo. They're going to have a huge fight on December. Hopefully, that's true. The operative word here is hopefully, absolutely. On December 12th, I don't know exactly where they're going to have it, but I'm assuming in Vegas.
Yeah, it's in Vegas. No, it is. Okay. It is in Vegas.
Do you know if it's going to be at the Mandalay Bay?
No, I don't know what venue it is.
Or MGM?
Yeah, it definitely is going to be one of the big
Grand,
ones.
Mandalay Bay.
It definitely is going to be one of the big ones because this is probably going to be one of their, if not biggest, probably events.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I really don't like I believe he's in the lightweight class. Is it the lightweight class?
I think so.
I think it's the lightweight class. I'm not really too versed in the lightweight class, but I definitely know how McGregor fights, and I just I don't think that he's going to beat Jose Aldo. But what would you say, Jose Aldo? He's a stand-up fighter.
Yes.
So he's mainly a stand-up fighter.
Yes, he's a black belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, which are most Brazilians are anyways who come into fighting.
But it seems like the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys that come from Brazil right now, they're more of stand-up fighters as opposed to in history. In the short history of MMA, they used to take people down and punish them on the ground. Now it seems like it's almost the reverse. They're getting their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belts, but they're not utilizing it as much. They
can't, though. That's the thing. They have a hard time with it because what Americans saw was, okay, we're not going to be as good in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as Brazilians. Some don't get me wrong. Some are close. Some are even better. But what beats out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu majority of the time is wrestling. Because the thing is, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is all about positioning, and wrestling is completely about positioning. Not even a little bit, it's completely about positioning. And if you're a wrestler versus a Jiu-Jitsu guy, you're going to have the positioning you want. You can still be choked out by the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, but he's not going to be able to take you down and go like, well, I'm going to set up whatever I want. That just doesn't happen. I mean, if you're a decent wrestler and if he's a decent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, you're going to have the basically decision of where you want the fight and how you want it to go. So that's why so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys who come to who come and fight in UFC start going the stand-up route, because they get into fights with people that are like, well, I can't take him down. What what am I gonna do? If I can't take him down, am I just gonna stand in front of him and hopefully he'll do something? No. So that's why so many of them switch. Now they're doing relatively well being stand-up fighters, and if need be, they're on the ground. Then then they'll go for the submission or they'll do something.
So would you say that Jose Aldo has knockout power?
Oh, without a doubt. He's knocked out lots of fighters. He has knockout power in both of his hands. He has knockout power in his legs. If he ever decides to use his legs to kick somebody in the face, man, he could kill him. He's fought guys who in a matter of like 3 or 4 kicks, they start limping, because I've never seen out of anyone who's ever fought before, I've never seen anyone have kicks as strong as Jose Aldo does. He just amazingly can just kick anyone, and after a few kicks, all of a sudden they're not the same anymore. They don't have the same push off their leg anymore. And I'm sorry, who is he fighting? What's his name?
McGregor.
Yeah, McGregor. Excuse me. I don't know why I spaced out on him. McGregor. The way he fights very karate style, where his front leg, I think it's his left leg, is out. And when you're fighting somebody who's a kicker of Aldo status, man, if he doesn't, prepare for that, I think he's going to bust his leg open. But again, I'm putting Aldo in such a high place because, well, he's undefeated for almost a decade now, and when he was defeated, it wasn't like a real loss. It was just he was barely getting into the sport. So technically, most people really would say that he is undefeated. And McGregor has been defeated, but he has been defeated by guys that could take him down. This is not going to be a fight where either of them are really going to go to the ground. It's just there's no reason for them. They're both top end stand-up fighters, but Aldo has the power. McGregor has the skill and power to it. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I've underestimated McGregor when I saw before the Mendes fight. I thought Mendes is going to walk through McGregor. I thought that was it. There's no way, nothing that McGregor can do. And then McGregor did what he basically wanted to do. And you can make all these arguments in terms of, oh, well, Mendes wasn't, prepared. But at the same time, you can make an argument that McGregor wasn't prepared because he was getting ready to fight Jose Aldo. So neither of them were really prepared for each other. Yet McGregor still knocked him out. And this is literally the second best, after Aldo, second best fighter. So I underestimated McGregor there. I'm trying not to underestimate him now, but I cannot see him beating Aldo.
That's
what about
true.
you?
If Jose Aldo actually shows up and doesn't make any excuses as to why he can't fight, I mean, I don't think this is the first time that he actually did not show up for a fight. So
no, he's actually holding. I think he's tied for the record of the most fights that he's pulled out of. Excuse me, the fighters have ever pulled out of. So he's up there.
So the question is, when was his last fight in the UFC?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it was maybe early this year.
Really? So he did actually fight this year?
I think so. Yeah. I would be surprised if he didn't. I'm trying to remember who he fought though. I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, at least he has fought this year, because I was going to say, if he hasn't fought.
Well, this year is almost over, so technically he could have still fought earlier.
If he hasn't fought in over a year, there would be a problem, because yet again, McGregor gets into your head, and he starts making you believe that you're doubting yourself. So even though Jose Aldo is a better fighter, and as you described, he has amazing kicks and hands that he utilizes to hurt people, knock people out, if mentally you are weak, and if mentally you believe in the hype that McGregor is bestowing upon you, that you're worthless, you're scared, you're unprepared for me, I'm a better fighter, I'm the one who made this fight big.
He's really good at getting people's heads.
He's really good at it, and that's why he's making the big bucks. But all honesty, if this fight was done earlier, I think that McGregor wouldn't have a chance. But that's just my opinion.
Why do you think this changes from that to that?
It changes because he calls him out, and people also start doubting Aldo as a true champion. because he did make an excuse
But,
that
but it
you know
still wouldn't.
his
But it,
ribs
right, but it
are
still wouldn't make
broken.
right. But it still wouldn't make a difference, though. It still wouldn't make a difference whether he, he fights him then or now. Meaning, if it's the same fighter,
It's mental. It's the mental capacity that some people lack, and you start doubting yourself. Yet again, I'm not in Jose Aldo's head, but there is a chance that he may be doubting himself because of everything that McGregor is saying, and everything that's
I don't
going
know.
into his
McGregor
head.
McGregor is amazing in getting into fighters' heads. I just remember his first fight in the UFC, and what he did. I'm not sure if you saw it. It was versus, I think, Goodrich, and he basically, he taunted him. He called him all kinds of names, and when the fight started, you genuinely see the fighter. He was mad, and he rushed him. And the one thing pretty much any coach will tell you, and that is, if somebody knows how to fight, the last thing you want to do is rush them, because, well, they're good. So they're going to move away, and they're going to pop shots at you, and they will stop you. And that's exactly what happened. And after the fight, McGregor gave an interview, and he's like, I was just, joking with him, and he took everything so seriously. He's like, he has to learn not to do this. And I just remember going like, man, that is amazing. If you could do that to a fighter and you could take him out of that, amazing. Because so far, the things that he said, McGregor has said some crazy things to Aldo. Not only that, during a conference, he took his belt away from him. He's done already some crazy things. So and the way that Aldo's talking, he's not talking about like McGregor, like he's, like, oh, it's just another fight. You're gonna see, I'm gonna stop him, all that kind of stuff. He's talking about him like, I'm gonna make him pay. He's gonna be star and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like that he is getting into his head. How much of that will change the game plan that Aldo has? I don't know, but it does sound like McGregor is getting into his head, and we'll see how that goes.
He definitely is getting into his head. It seems like that he is taking him out of his zone, wherever he is in the zone. I don't know as how he actually regularly thinks about fighting other fighters, but definitely he's manipulating him, changing his way of thinking. And whenever you change your thought patterns as to how you normally think about something, you are unexperienced. You know what I mean? So you start thinking, you know what, I'm going to go into the octagon. Instead of doing what I usually do, I'm make him pay for what he said. Well, the thing is, who gives a fuck what he says?
Right.
You know why he's doing it. He's doing it for a reason, to get
Right.
you upset, to get you energized, to get you start doubting yourself. It's a ploy. And for people that are mentally weak, this definitely helps the opponent.
We have to be we have to understand that Aldo could also be playing to the crowd as well.
I doubt
in
it.
terms of
I really doubt it.
Okay. But in terms of kind of like, hey, you know what, this fight is gonna sell much better if I act like I'm really pissed. Because if McGregor's doing all this stuff and he's just stoically standing there and going like, it's gonna be a great fight, I'm gonna mess him up, I'm gonna stop him, all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't really sell as much as, I'm gonna get him, I'm gonna mess him up. You're gonna see, like, I'm like if he's showing like anger and he's showing that could also be a way of selling the fight. He might also be doing a part of that as well, and we might not think that that's true, and that might not be, but a part of me has to consider that that's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing into the crowd. He doesn't have English.
Not to the
I mean?
I'm not saying to the crowd. No, this is not. I'm not saying to the crowd. I'm saying in terms of the like a person comes up to him and interviews him and asks him questions, and he's like, yeah, and he'll act to that. I'm not saying to the crowd like, yeah, he'll come out and start talking to them. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying specifically interviews and the way he reacts to anything that McGregor does. Yeah, I mean.
So what I'm gonna say is that, in my opinion, McGregor is the most overrated fighter in the UFC,
Whoa.
if not the entire world. I really don't think that
How do
he's
you
a
figure?
good
I'm just
fighter.
curious.
Well, I've seen him fight, and
He hasn't lost in UFC.
he hasn't lost in the UFC, but he also hasn't fought against top-notch fighters
Mendes.
yet. Mendes, I don't know what happened in that fight. I think it was.
I don't know.
It was a mistake.
That breaks down.
It
Breaks down
was
your argument.
It was a mistake that happened. I don't know. I really don't know what happened there. He caught him with a left. I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is this: the only way that McGregor can win, in my opinion, against Aldo, is if Aldo deviates from his plan, from his original plan as to how he fights. Maybe McGregor catches him with a lucky kick or punch, and then just TKOs him.
Well, it is a fight. It is a fight. So anything can happen. I mean, there's no 100% guarantee, just because, yes, you can land something. Somebody throws something awkwardly, misses, and somebody else catches them. They could both at the same time throw something, and one of them land, the other one misses, and it could be a knockout from there. So, I mean, anything is possible. But I think from everything so far that Aldo has done, for anybody to discount him as the favorite, it's pretty crazy. But at the same time, I'm the first to admit that I was absolutely wrong, because I had Mendes beating McGregor in that fight, because I'm like, this is one of the best wrestler in that weight class, cannot be stopped, cannot be slowed down by McGregor, and he was able to take him down relatively easily. But for McGregor to be able to get up at that point, still have the strength, still have the stamina, and to be able to stop him, it's like, and by the way, and he took those punches and those elbows from probably one of the strongest fighters in that division. So I can't discount McGregor 100%, but I'm leaning like this. I'm more like 70-30. That's where I'm at. For Aldo.
Well, I don't know what's gonna happen, but you have a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu MMA practitioner who hasn't lost in 10 years, going against the most overrated fighter in the UFC, if not the whole entire world. So I mean, unless he's going to play around like Anderson Silva and pretend that he got wobbled, and then McGregor just beats the shit out of him.
Pretend that he got wobbled?
Well, yeah, that's what Anderson Silva did against Weidman in the first fight, and he got TK'd. But I don't see. Yes. And I don't see. Well, watch the first fight against Weidman, and you'll see.
I've seen it many times.
Well, watch it again. But
I have no clue. It seems like you're trying to make points to make other points, and it's like you're kind of like, you don't make the first point originally, and you go to the next point.
I made my first point.
No, well, okay, your first point originally was that McGregor and it's completely overrated. Then I stopped you on that, and you completely went back to it like, oh well, I just made it. Don't worry about it. And now you're making another point about Aldo, and you're like, oh, don't worry about it. I already made it. I have no clue. It's like, it seems like you're making points after points that don't have like a real. Like,
yes, they do. What I'm trying to get at is 99 out of 100. Jose Aldo should beat McGregor. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't see a victory for McGregor unless Jose Aldo deviates from his original plan that he usually employs against his opponents.
But there's also the luck factor, right? There's also that thing what I was talking about, which is whether you think Aldo is going to be 100%, like he's the one that's going to win. There's also that factor where, if McGregor throws a punch and at the same time Aldo throws a punch or a kick or something, and McGregor's lands and Aldo misses for that moment, or even they both land at the same time, but it just happens to catch him in that certain way, and that certain moment, in that certain position where just the stars align and stuff like that, which we've all seen fights where it's like there's a favorite 100% and something happens and it's a completely different fight. And I think that's probably a really good lead into our next topic.
Well, but before that, what's your prediction?
I already said. I said 70-30 Aldo.
Okay, so you're saying Aldo's gonna
Yes.
win. Well, I'm thinking Aldo's also gonna win. I hope McGregor loses because I'm tired
I think you don't have to even
hearing.
state. I don't think you have to like. I don't think even you have to state. But everything you said, 100% Aldo. Like I think you should put money on him. Like the more the merrier. You know?
I don't know. Okay, but now going to
Right, so-
the next
so
MMA topic, Ronda Rousey's first loss. When I saw that, I was absolutely shocked from the get-go. Just Ronda Rousey, just to me seemed off balance, and Holly Holmes, very calm and composed, and moving away very swiftly from Rousey as Rousey was chasing her around the octagon, which to me was not necessarily a surprise, but to chase a world-class kickboxer, I don't know, that's not a good idea.
It looked like, to me, it looked like the example that I gave earlier with when McGregor fought Goodrich and he made him upset, and Goodrich just came out and started, going at him with everything he had. That's sort of the way it looked like. She is fighting a world-class stand-up person, stand-up fighter, and decides that, you know what? I'm going to go stand-up versus her. I'm not going to try to take her down. That's pointless. Let me just take her. Oh my God. It was so frustrating to me to watch that fight. Especially, I'm a fan. Not to say that I don't like Holmes. I'm absolutely fine with her. But I'm a fan of Rousey. And to watch that fight, what outraged me the most was after the first round, where you could clearly see Ronda Rousey lost that round. Her first round that she's ever lost in MMA, period. And her coach, who is a boxing coach, tells her, instead of, okay, you need to go back to what works right now, forget about the stand-up, because all you're doing is you're rushing her and just throwing fists, and she's catching you and she's popping you whenever she wants. You need to go and take her down. As soon as the round starts, fake or wait for a counter and take her down, and then do your thing. And instead, he was like, okay, you need to fake this way, you need to do this. And basically, he was giving her tips as to how to counter her or how to, land a punch. And I was so frustrated. I'm like, did you not watch the first round? Where were you? Because I was watching it and I'm like, she's not on the same league as somebody who has been fighting stand-up for basically their whole career. The reason why Ronda Rousey is so good is because she's amazing in her Olympic she has Olympic medal in what is it? No, it's not wrestling. It's judo. Thank you. Yes, she's Olympic judo fighter. So if somebody would try to fight her in judo, who just started, who has been only practicing judo for a year, then you would absolutely go, well, that's crazy. Why would you possibly do that? She's a Olympic caliber champion. And here you have the boxing and kickboxing champion fighting you, and you go, well, you know what? My few years of practicing stand-up is equivalent to that. It's so crazy to possibly think that. I personally think right now that when the rematch does take place, as long as she doesn't have any screws loose from the first fight, and as long as she's not one of those fighters who crumbles after being knocked out the first time, and as long as she's back to where she was or close to where she was before the knockout, and if she comes back and she fights her regular fight the way she fought Miesha Tate, the way she fought everybody else, 100% she stops her. 100% Ronda Rousey finishes her with the armbar or whatever she basically decides on the ground. 100%. That's at least my point of view of this.
Also, her coach after the first round was telling her how she was doing a good job.
Yes, that. I forgot to mention that.
I'm so against lying to anyone, especially when it comes to fighting. I mean, you're pretty much telling somebody that they're doing a good job, but they've lost the round, and they didn't have an answer for Holly Holm. I mean, that was just so stupid. You want to be honest with your fighter. You want to give good tips and let them know what they're doing wrong, because if you're spewing out the wrong information, the person processes processes the information the way that you're actually giving it to them. So she thought that she probably was doing everything well, even though she was devastated. She was shocked. She was off balance. She did take Holly Holm down one time, but she couldn't secure an armbar.
Yeah, but that's after receiving a bunch of punches and kicks to the face.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's true. And, Holly Holm got up and, she did not want to, even though she took Ronda Rousey down one time, she did not want to be on the ground with her because she understood that there's a chance.
No, there's a chance. She 100% will be submitted by somebody who's so amazing at
she would be submitted, and she understood that my game is the stand-up game. And Ronda Rousey decided, you know what, I'm a good stand-up fighter, but she has never fought against a world-class boxer like Holly Holm, and I guess she didn't do her homework. But yeah, I have to give all the credit to Holly Holm for rallying her. You know what I mean? Getting her angry, getting her frustrated, and just taking her out of her zone. That's what you want to do with someone that is a better MMA practitioner or in anything. Just get them out of their zone. Get them out of their
First of all, you're wrong on that in terms of like she didn't actually she was actually very quiet and stoic, and she didn't really say anything. Like, I mean, if anything, Ronda Rousey, and this is what everybody basically said, she was trying to rile herself up by making it something like, I'm gonna mess her up because she's like this and she's like that. But in terms of Holly Holm was very like professional and everything like that.
Maybe that was the reason why.
I can't right, maybe. But the thing is, but in terms of Ronda Rousey being mad and all that kind of stuff, that's sort of her way to psych herself up. She does that versus all the other fighters. But if Ronda Rousey used the same technique of running and just punching, she wouldn't have beat Miesha Tate. She wouldn't have beat McMahon. She wouldn't have beat most of the other fighters she's fought because their stand-up is better than hers. So Holly Holmes got, in my opinion, absolutely lucky that Ronda Rousey decided to fight her in a stand-up fight, because she saw, Ronda Rousey had that fight, I forget what the woman's name, in Brazil, where she knocked her out, and everybody was saying how Ronda Rousey, her stand-up looks so amazing. Oh my God, look at what she did. And the idea was, hey, her stand-up is amazing, so that's what she should do from now on. And this is what she tried, and this is the outcome. And if she didn't do that versus Holly Holm, 100%, in my opinion, that she would submit her. There is nothing special about, like, if you take a look at all the other fights that Holly Holm has had in pretty much any other division, especially in the UFC, if you take a look at her fights, you would go like, she's nothing special. She was a knocking out fighter. She wasn't really, she knocked out a few fighters, but again, it was like late in the round or something like that. But again, she's not really a very strong puncher or kicker. She's a cumulative one. She's not very fast. She's quick, but not very quick. She's very good at stand-up, meaning her technique is far beyond Ronda Rousey's, and that's why she won versus somebody that was literally just running and flailing their arms in front. Versus a skilled fighter like Holly Holm, it's 100% you're going to knock yourself out with that, and that's basically what happened. I put money down right now that 100% that Ronda Rousey, if she's okay from this knockout and she comes back, at least close to where she was before, she stops her with a submission in the first round within relatively quickly.
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with you. And also, if she's a true champion, she will come back and she will be unfazed, and she will recover her title. But the other issue that played in this fight is her ego. And she has a big ego, and she thought that no one can stop me. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, and there isn't a thing that anybody
There's a reason
can
why
do
she had
about
that,
it.
though, right?
She
I
did.
agree with
She
that.
did have it, but to be confident is one, but
If she fought her ground game, I really don't think there's anyone, including Cyborg, that half human being. I think like really, I don't think there's anyone in the women's division that could stop her. I really don't.
True, but yet again, when your ego is so huge and you feel like you're immortal in a sense and no one can touch you, your education just goes down. You don't do the research. You don't try to understand your opponent and how they fight, and you really have to
but she's never
struggled.
no, but come on, she's never struggled versus any fighter she's ever had, including Miesha Tate. That was, I think, her longest fight she's ever had, but even in that, she was messing her up round after round after round after round. So this whole idea that like she underestimated and all that kind of stuff, I just think that she's never had to struggle in MMA ever. Every fight she's ever had was easy. The only time it was difficult was this time because she made it difficult for herself, and her coach wasn't smart enough or stupid enough to, well, no, not stupid enough. He was stupid enough, but just wasn't smart enough to go like, hey, you know what? This isn't working. Stop. Go back to what works. You're going to finish her quick if you just do this. And instead, he's like, I don't know, honestly, I have no clue what was going through his head, because I'm actually kind of curious as to what he would say in terms of like why he told her to continue, a stand-up, because I don't understand what the reason for that was.
Well, partly it's his fault, partly it's her fault. I think neither of them have been in adversity, and especially Ronda Rousey hasn't lost a round. She just didn't know what to do.
Except he's a boxing coach, and he has trained champion boxers. He's seen fights, and he's seen what it looks like when a fighter is losing. It's not like he's never saw. He trained Darvician, a champion Armenian fighter, and that guy has been a champion for a while, but he also started losing later on. So I'm saying he's seen when a guy starts losing, when a fighter starts losing. So he had the opportunity, he had the reason to go like, hey, you know what? The first round, it's like you're not beating her in the first round. Go to what works, and it's frustrating as a fan of Ronda Rousey's, at least, to look at it and go like, why are you not telling her to go back to what works? Even if I wasn't a fan, I think I would still question that. Like, why didn't she just go back to what works for her?
I don't know. Like, I have this theory, remember I told you that I saw this interview with Ronda Rousey's mom talking shit about the coach, mm-hmm. and, how she doesn't need him or anything like that. So, to tell you the truth, I don't know. You don't know. We don't know, but could it be that he just took revenge against her
by making her
mom? I know, that's what I'm saying. It's an outrageous statement.
If anything,
that would be crazy,
saying, right? If anything, what you're saying, I mean, there could be some truth in what you're saying, in the direction that like he's like, you know what? I've been teaching her stand-up for so long. She should be good enough right now to take on the best stand-up fighter in UFC in the women's division. And obviously that showed exactly that she wasn't even close to being on par with somebody who's really good at stand-up. It's, I don't know.
It's just weird. You have a boxing coach, and you're not that good of a boxer. I mean, that is weird, but I don't know. The question is she going to stay with him? Is she going to switch over to somebody else?
That's a good question.
I mean, yet again, it's partly her fault and partly his fault. You can't put the blame solely on the coach, even though he was 100% wrong.
If the coach, hold on, if the coach says, I have a game plan for you, okay, and whether it's basketball or whatever the case is, and you go like, okay, I have a game plan. This is what you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to do this because you told me this is the game plan I have. You've never steered me wrong. And you do this. You can't go, well, it's like 100%. That's it. So anyways, I think this is where we're going to leave it off. I think we both think that It seems like Ronda Rousey is going to come back and be stronger than ever. Or at least, well, we hope. So, guys, thank you for joining us for the 5th podcast. Again, this was brought to you by cookieprint.com, where you could have all your printing needs met. Also, if you guys could subscribe and like, it would really mean a lot to us. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.